So we're getting back on the main highway, but still have to take this little country road. Because I just wanted to address the attempts when I started losing, my patience was about here. So we're we're only 8 months after the event. But the way I do things is when I write a letter and I mail it, I don't change the document to prove it hasn't been doctored. So last time it was modified was July 30th, 2008, which was the date of when this went out. And people were like, well, you got April 10th? No, that's when I put it on a flash drive. Captain Technology. Put it on a flash drive on April 10th, and then I just uploaded it now. So that's So, anyway, settle down, people. You're not going to make a liar out of me. So, this is when I found out, I ran into Police Chief Mike one afternoon, and I go, so what's going on with the investigation? He just said, nothing. I was like, oh, God, are you kidding? And you know what, people? There's a whole side of this, and yeah, it's another girl that's in the Chicago right now you don't even know about, because I thought God put her in my life. And she was someone that I worked at CTL that we kind of had a biblical affair, but not a physical affair. And she was the reason I thought all this was going on, for a reason, because of her. So I'm getting my little dream in life was find that one cool looking fish and spend the rest of your life with that intelligent porpoise or whatever I wrote. And so you guys don't even know about that yet, but I do. And that's what makes it really funny, because we haven't tapped into funny yet. Oh, what's bleeding out funny is, we've got to hit a couple arteries of funny. There's funny that will, if you don't wet your pants, you have sphincters in your body that you just want to get, I don't know what, the Hall of Fame of sphincters. It's just, okay, let's get back to this. I don't want to get too silly. So it's like, Mike. So I ran into him, and he goes, nothing. We're not doing anything. So just get on with your little life. Times whatever. And that ticked me off to no end. So let's just read a little bit of this. At this point, it is obvious that any investigation into the events of November 21 through 25, 2007, cannot be conducted by Pentwater Police Department without prejudice. Please let me be clear about this, as your ineffectiveness remains a conflict to the professional service your badge symbolizes. This is where I turn into a wordsmith, and, words are a sword or double-edged sword. Yeah, they are. Despite your dependence indicating 38 years of law enforcement reflects any formidable qualification into investigating such a matter, it is quite apparent that the bias precluding you from examining evidence and facts of the case is based on subjective judgment of my character. This opinion appears to be shared amongst a number of other village residents and merchants. Not true. It's the fear factor. You just want to inject like, it's not just you and me. Everyone knows about this, but that wasn't true. As similar injustices seem to befall upon individuals who also aren't to your public liking. Well, that is true. I'll get to that. And this is what we pay for with our tax dollars, ? Purely comical material for Comedy Central and news media. Now, hold on. Let's just chew that up and swallow it. So, he had this thing. He did have a prejudice with other people in town. And now that I think about it, this police chief, he knew what was going on. And he was between a hard case or a hard place and a rock. And I get that, Chief Mike, if you ever get whiff of this. But you had a duty as a cop. You got a dirty cop on your hand, not you, Bob. And you need to clean it up. And it's on your watch, dude. and you dropped the ball. So, and he knows it. And I'll tell you what happened to him. And he's, God gives you justice. You just don't realize it. It's not the way you think it is. Anyway, and you'll find out. But it's got to be told in the right time frame. Because I bounce around. Yeah. So the other resident, he had talked about Lori yesterday. Now, he had a prejudice against Lori. She had a driving issue, and he harassed her about that. And we'll just call it a couple other people that he gave a hard time to because he was doing the village president's dirty work. Because Juanita Pierman is a whole nother thing. She's the one that had me arrested for psychological terrorism. We're not too soon, but Mike was doing the dirty work for the village president. Okay, just throwing that out there. But I started nudging him, throwing jabs, and it's like, get off your duff and, do something either on me or what I'm asking you to do. So I'm like, okay, kid gloves are off. I don't care, because I know I sent this to... Watch it be no one. To no one. So this is still between he and I. I haven't got off the way I do things. But this was still personal. Because you can tell when it's personal and when it's not. That right there. No letterhead, nothing else. Date, Mike. So this is between Brian and Mike. Not Chief Mike, not Pentwater Police Chief. It's Mike. So that's why he didn't copy to anyone. Prove me a liar. Not gonna happen. So this was between he and I. Now, I shared this with people afterwards when he didn't act on it, but not initially. Take it to your fellow brother. He doesn't do it, then take it to the public. Or the church, the scripture says. Anyway, so let's go a little bit further. So it's like, yeah, I'm getting jabs in. Because the village president said, make it go away. Make it go away. Foundation for all discrimination could be placed on your personal/professional association with Tim Taylor, the ex-village manager with whom village representatives had to dismiss rumors of embezzlement concurrent with his sudden departure. Oh, Tim Taylor's too soon. But we'll get to that. But I'm like, if I know something, I'm getting that elephant, dragging it into the room. Oh, God. I can be dickish. It can be considered amazing that you and or family members It can be considered amazing that you and or family members may have benefited financially with your association with Mr. Taylor. Okay, what that was, I was a little bit wrong. I thought it was the police chief's wife that had a cleaning contract with the village, but it turned out to be Randy, a cop on the force, that had a outrageous cleaning contract with the village for like 80 grand a month. Is it 80 grand a month? No, I've got the auditing bill, so we'll find out how much it was. But it was outrageous amount of monies that went to this cleaning contract, and I thought it was the police chief's wife. That's what that jab was about. But the Tim Taylor, the quick and dirty on him, he was this guy who, when I moved in, I said, I've got all this, you guys talk about expenses with consulting groups, and they had a bad water system and the sewer problems, and I said, I'm a consultant. This is what I did for a living. I'll evaluate the sewer lines, tell you what you could do and should do. I can get you the equipment for $400 and do a scope, tell you what's bad, what's good, where. Just hire me on a consulting, basis, loose, like $5 an hour. I'm not kidding. $5 an hour. All you need is something to keep money flowing or to get some kind of income. I'll tell you what's wrong with your sewer system and where to fix it, and you don't have to hire a consultant that did nothing for their hundreds of thousands of dollars, except make recommendations for proposal things that never... It turned out that the people that he was doing business with were on the cahoot, were just extorting money from the And so we caught him, and too soon. But that's where I'm getting the elephant's in the room, baby. And I gotta stop saying that. It sounds dumb. But it's just what comes out of the mouth. Getting back. Mr. Taylor's, this is where I get a wordsmithy, and Mr. Taylor's performance in office, in my opinion, his incompetence was beyond comprehension. And it's said that you are so, it was a good friend of his. And it's sad that you are so closely tied to his ineptitude. But that's a reflection of your character, not mine. So yeah, I'm getting the jabs in. Dunk, 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 dunk. In the meantime, I will ask that you refrain from interfering with my effort to have qualified law officials investigate the subject issue in the future. I'll get to that. And sequester yourself from disseminating your personal opinion of me with others. I'll get to that. In fact, your conduct can now be considered a professional impediment for others pursuant in disclosing what actually occurred during the time in question. Again, I know the specifics of this case and wouldn't push this matter to the extreme if there were any doubt to the extent of crimes involved. But I'm sure you know that by now. Okay, break that down so we can chew and swallow it. I started saying, if you're not going to do anything, I'm going to go to the state police. And he goes, well, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to call me. I'm going to say no case. And I said, well, go to the DA. He goes, what do you think the DA's going to do? He's going to come to me, and I'm going to say no big deal. And I'm like, well, then stop getting in my way. Let me do my, file my charges with whomever. He goes, no matter what you do, it's not going to make a difference. And sure enough, I called the Michigan State Police, and he goes, well, you got to start with your local guy. And I said, I have. He goes, well, what did they say? Well, that, if he's not going to push it, then take it to the next level. He goes, State Police said, I'm not going to do anything if he's not. So that's when I threw that, well, if you're telling all these people not to do anything, you're getting in my way. And then what else is it? Disclosing? Oh. So I'm really trying to push it. But I'm letting him know this isn't going away because I trust me and not God. Oh, funny story. All right. I fully recognize it is my problem that I once thought you were capable of performing duties as an equitable police officer. But I suppose this is what can be expected when asking a boy to do a man's job. Ooh. Tough guy, especially when the concern demands integrity. So this is my wordsmith, just jab, 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 let alone reliable personnel. I should have read it off. But I suppose this is what can be expected when asking a boy to do a man's job, especially when the concern demands integrity, let alone reliable personnel. Should the populace of Pentwater ever perceive the only distraction needed to throw off an investigation off track was a blind eye and denial of an offense, countered by the acceptance of incredulous accusations, maybe there should be a reevaluation of what law services are actually being afforded around here. It's a joke. And at this point, I can't just rely on stupid people trying to be smart anymore or do the right thing. So I'm pissed. Can you tell? And so I get wordsmithy, and I'm like, I want this letter to be read in court because, okay, Mr. Little Snot Guy, why are you writing these letters? Because I'm pissed. You get raped, brain raped, and people just laugh at you. The people that are supposed to be helping you out laugh at you and say, get on with your life. I have no patience for that whatsoever. No, wrap it up. Quite honestly, I also hope the increasing number of people questioning your general conduct refrain from including me with their grievances. I'll add on. I made a point to confront you directly. Okay. And I made a point to confront you directly and not behind your back. As you have instructed several individuals about your so-called 38-year service record, it seems in some ways as if it's more like 1 year experience approaching 4 decades of elementary reiteration. Again, it's all a joke. And it kind of looks like retardation. Elementary retardation. If you glance at it. And that's why I use that word. I'm a self-professed wordsmith. Just like self-professed, self-made people. I'm a self-professed wordsmith because God wanted me to use that word. Anyway, so yeah. And this guy was going around saying, this guy's off his rocker. You don't understand, people. I've talked to his family, and he's really nuts. So, and I found out he's going around telling people about me, and so I was like, I can tell about people about him. And as it turns out, here's a little slam dunk to keep me in my place. Turns out that this guy had a beef with me, which I didn't know about till later. And I went in specifically to apologize, not only for this letter, eventually. Because I did. I did this, but I had to go back in and say, you have to understand why I put that on the record. Meaning, hopefully he put that on his police record, was he had a sister that was killed by a drunk driver. And that, when I found out that, I immediately went in, I apologized, and kind of said, this is why I did this. So we got to know each other a little bit more off the record, kind of. And I know the guy respected me for what I was doing. And I talked to him, and I had to do look, I got to talk to you on the record, off the record, but we have to straighten this up between us. He goes, well, just keep talking. And we kind of let it out with, well, this is why I did this. On both sides. He said that, and I said that. This is why I had to do this. This is why I did this. And we're playing checkers, going, okay, well, that's why I did this. But he sat down, and at one point, I think he was telling me that he was looking into it, because I really played up the fact where I said earlier that people from out of town can come in and you don't do anything. I thought, well, these people are out of sight, out of mind, and that's why you don't follow them. He made quite an effort one time. He goes, come here for a second. I mean, nicely. He goes, come over here for a second. And he pulls out the police computer. And he goes, I want you to see this. And he tapped in the name. And he goes, see this guy? Yeah. He goes, he lives in Wisconsin. I tracked him down. And the thing is, he's using Wisconsin. He's using Chicago. And I think he was telling me without telling me. He goes, look, I'm following things like I'm showing you here, by example, I have followed people out of state, and I've caught them. Because he used to be a cop in a big Cadillac, I think. But then he got kind of, he exposed a drug meth lab in, I want to say, Cadillac. And so he kind of ducked out in a good way, ducked out till things settled down because he exposed a drug ring. So he was a clean cop. There's no doubt he's a clean cop. But he was in a bad situation. And to wrap up where he ended up after all this was, he probably asked for a transfer, but he made it sound like he got forced into quitting and going to Lansing, but I think he put in for transfer to the Lansing area and did work over there. But he couldn't take it anymore. And I'm not saying I'm the one, but I could easily say that he quit because of me, but he had a crappy boss. That could have been the overwhelming thing. I don't know how big a thorn I was in him. I could have been a little pinprick. I could have been a big pinprick. I don't know. I truly don't. But we kind of bared ourselves. But this one time, before I got snotty, and I didn't pick up on what he was doing, but I kind of had in the back of my mind he might be showing me more, telling me more by showing me and not telling me. But he did. He goes, come here, I want you to see this. I've followed people before, caught them and convicted them. And I'm wondering if I jumped the gun by, too much. There could have been a whole investigation going on for all I know. And there kind of was. And I'll get to that. But not the way I thought it was, or it certainly wasn't progressing at the speed. And if I really think about it, there probably could have been. And I started doing all these stupid things to be not funny, but to write a book that could have just destroyed any chance I had. And I'm serious. Because this was such a slam dunk that there could have been a whole investigation going on. Had they told me that there was, I would have backed off. All this guy had to do was saying, we're taking care of it. Had he said that, none of this would have happened. And God knows that. And if there was an investigation and, justice would have been done a different way, God would have had Mike tell me, don't worry about it. It's taken care of. But it didn't work out that way. But I wonder if there was an investigation going on. But these things, I want them to happen overnight. It's done and done and done in my mind. But, for them to get the true story with mixed folks and everything else, I'm too impatient. I'm thinking a 30-hour episode of Law and Order. This doesn't even need a whole hour of setup and delivery. This Dennis Franz is the guy I'm trying to think of. See, I'll come back. Squirrel. Yeah. So I have no ill will against Chief Mike at all. I respect this guy. He was I think a Vietnam vet to some extent, because he told me about his service, and I saluted. I do. I genuinely love this guy, because I know I put him in a horrible situation, but he didn't do, in my eyes, he didn't do the justice I wanted him to do, and that was mostly my fault. Well, it was my fault. But yeah, he ended up getting another assignment out of town. Then we got Chief Loud. And I just, where it left off with the Mike kid, came up with Chief Loud. Anyway, I want to wrap this up. See, I got to wrap it up. But this is all I want to do. I got to add the last one. And I want to see how I do this thing. Please do not think for a second that I don't have respect for the demands of your position, particularly for a little town of Pentwater. However, your predisposition in certain matters most likely will dominate the reputation of your tenure here, as did Mr. Taylor's, and look where all that aptitude got that moron. But I'm glad you made your predisposed position obvious. Also, with the intensity you approach DUI offenses with your personal reasons why, I too take seriously the subject matter of child abuse, and my tenacious behavior can equally be attributed to this cause. Again, in an effort to make it quite clear to you and others, I know the facts involved, and having some pissant police chief stand in the way of efforts to explore the truth at this point is purely laughable. You think it's all about me, Mike? Thank you. It's all about my nephews. We'll leave it at that.